Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Explore Richland. I'm your host, Mark Ingham. Well, it's no secret that Richland is widely considered a mecca for scientific research and technology. Companies like Pacific Northwest National Laboratory, Energy Northwest, and Battelle come to mind. But back in 2016, another scientific company made worldwide headlines with their first detection of gravitational waves. Welcome to Ligo. And gracious enough to join us today is Ligo's Education and Outreach Lead, Amber Strunk. Amber, thanks so much for joining us today.
Hi, good to have you.
And I'd have to say we made it, but I'm gonna guess that you could sense me from probably a mile away, right?
I wish we could. The waves you create are a little too big for us to sense, but we're glad you made it out.
Perfect. I'm excited to be here. This is the fourth time I've been out to Ligo, and I must say every time I come out here, I just have a sense of inspiration, a sense of excitement, and also just a sense of awe coming out here. It's just so exciting to be here. Yeah. And I wanted to ask you to start off this conversation, if you could just share with us what Ligo's mission is and talk a little bit about the science taking place here.
Sure, yeah, we kind of have two missions. The first mission is our scientific mission. That's to detect gravitational waves and then to better understand gravity through that information. But we also have an education mission, which is why I'm here, and it's really to increase a curiosity and inspire interest in STEM careers through all types of fields. And that's why we have this beautiful center, so the public can come, see what we do, and get excited about the science just like you did.
Mm-hmm. That's great. And I must say that this is an exciting place to come. It's exciting to learn about the technology, but it can be overwhelming for someone like me who's not an engineer. But one thing that Ligo does so well is you open yourself to the community, and you have a great way of telling your story in a way that we can understand. And I just want to start with having you share what is in this exhibition space and some of the exhibits that are here.
Yeah, Ligo's been in the community since 1996, and since that time we've had an outreach program communicating what we do to the public because we think it's so important to take kind of science that seems pretty high level and bring it down to everything people can understand. This center itself is a wonderful way to do that. It was funded by the state of Washington and it's brand new. We just opened it in September of last year. And here you can both see some hardware exhibits about the center as well as some hands-on exhibits to really get a feel for the science that we do. When you walk in, one of the first things you notice is the Nobel Prize in Physics, which was awarded to 3 of our founders in 2017 for the very first historic detection of gravitational waves.
It's amazing. Now, right off the bat, one of the exhibits that catches your eye is this one. Can you tell us about it?
Absolutely. It's one of my favorites, and it helps you understand gravitational waves. So if you take a step onto it, you can see that this grid just bent around your shape. And if you watch these objects, they start orbiting around you, they come around and they'll orbit around me. And this really helps us understand gravity. Einstein told us gravity is a warp in space-time, and when objects follow that warp, they orbit, or if they collide, they make waves. And that's exactly what we're studying and understanding.
That's great, and I can see this as a fan favorite, must be.
It absolutely is. Everybody loves this.
It's so cool.
So as I just mentioned, we study these gravitational waves from objects colliding in space, but the way we do that is different than what you're used to from most observatories. We don't use telescopes. Instead, we have a device like this, which is called an interferometer. So starting right here, you have a laser that goes through what we call a beam splitter, and it does exactly what you think it does. It splits the beam into 2, so one goes down that arm, and one goes down that arm. And then at the very end of each arm, you'll see a mirror that reflects that light back together before it merges. It goes through a few mirrors just to make the laser spot bigger, easier to see, and projects it up on the screen, and you see this interference pattern. Our device basically does this, but instead of having short arms, we have 2.5-mile long arms to allow us to sense the very small gravitational waves we're looking for.
I was going to ask you about the interference patterns. How do you know what's a gravitational wave and what's not?
Yeah, so there's 2 things there. One thing is we do everything possible to try to get rid of those vibrations. So we have a lot of hardware that you can see in the center as well that shows some of the ways in which we reduce the vibrations to get rid of them when we can. But then on the other side, when we do get signals, how do we know for sure it's something from space and not something here on Earth? We do a couple things. We match it with Einstein's predictions for what these waves should look like. We make sure that nothing else around us could have possibly made it. So we have 300,000 channels of data coming in all of the time. And about 200,000 of those are just environmental sensors. We're looking at wind and vibrations and earthquakes and everything so we can rule them out and really know that what we're seeing is coming from space.
Wow, it's just fascinating. Let's take a look at maybe 1 or 2 more exhibits in here.
Sure. Another favorite of people here is this device. Really, one of the things we're trying to do is talk about the fundamental science, so waves, pendulums, all of those matter for what we do, and a lot of the exhibits you see show you that. This one can show us waves, so if I spin this drum, and then pluck the guitar string, you can see the waves that are being made. So as people and students come and play, they get a better sense of what waves are, how they're made, the different properties of them, and all of that goes into the work we do.
Wow. And I have a question about this. I mean, visually, when I'm looking at the strings, you can see that wave like you talked about. But is that actually the string bending, or is it an optical illusion with this pattern behind it?
It's the string bending. The
Really?
only thing the drum does is allows your eye to see it. So it's happening all the time, but our eyes can't
gosh.
pick it up. But if we look at it and we've got this light and dark background, by those going fast, it allows your eyes to pick up that actual vibration of the wave that's happening all the time.
That's amazing. You always answer my question of why you don't see it up there, because it has to be here. But it doesn't seem like that's real.
I know,
It
I know.
seems like that's just an optical illusion that's happening with that spinning background behind it.
I think that's why it's a
So
favorite,
cool.
because it feels like an optical illusion, but it's a real effect. As I mentioned, we have a lot of fundamental science here, and we are both detecting waves and using waves to detect that. But one of the things we have to do is hang our mirrors as pendulums to get rid of those vibrations we were talking about. So you'll have a lot of exhibits that you see as well about pendulums. This has several pendulums, all with the exact same mass on the bottom, but you can see that the strings are different lengths. And as you watch it, it goes through several different patterns. And that's really just an effect of that string length. It doesn't matter how much weight is hanging on the end of each one, but because the strings are different, they'll swing at different frequencies, and they create this gorgeous pattern.
Simply fascinating. And you know, the Exploration Center is a must-see for everyone in town. And I'm curious, what are the hours you're open, and is there a fee to come explore here?
It's absolutely free to come see us. We are open every week, Tuesday through Friday, from 9:30 in the morning till 4 p.m., with the exclusion of holidays.
Wow, it's great. Free to the community. And another popular way that people experience LIGO is through a public tour. Can you share with us how people can register for a public tour and take us through what they get to see when they're on the tour?
Absolutely. So to register for our public tours, it's online on our website, ligo.caltech.edu. And if you go there, you can register for a free public tour. Just like everything else, we do it for free. And they have a chance to explore the Exploration Center. But they also will have a short talk by one of our scientists or engineers, a walk around our site. They'll get to see some more hardware exhibits, go right into our control room where we detect gravitational waves and see scientists at work. And then they'll also get a beautiful view of those 2.5-mile long arms we talked about.
Oh, that's amazing. And once a month, right? Correct?
Once a month, the second Saturday of every month.
Well, I would like to thank Amber Strunk for taking us on an amazing adventure here at LIGO. And if you have not been out to their Exploration Center, I strongly encourage you to come visit them. Now, if you would like more information on LIGO, you can visit them online at the website below. And don't forget, we are where you are. Find the City of Richland on all the popular social media platforms. Find us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. I'm Mark Ingham, and thanks for joining me on this edition of Explore Richland.